Alright, everybody. It's time for this month's installment of Joelsuf Remembers. So, 2002 and like anything like 5 or 10 years, 15 years, or even 20 years around that is like. It's. My god, like all kinds of stuff has happened. All kinds of crazy stuff just happens during like multiples of these years, whether it's 97, 92, 02, 07, 12, 17. So I'm gonna be doing, I don't know, podcasts of like all these events, like practically every month, if not literally every month. Um, and this one's just solitary, but the next month is probably gonna have a couple of things. Uh, but this one is after what, 6 years from '96 to '02. Uh, Kevin Kevin Nash and Scott Hall come back to WWE, and for Hogan, it was close to 9 years coming back to WWE. And it's been 20 years to the day that they came back at No Way Out 2002. Crazy, 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 crazy. So, like with most Remembers videos, I'll talk about what I was going through in my own life, and then I'll talk about the segment and stuff, and talk about its significance, and try to tie it into anything that's going on currently. You know what I'm talking about. I did a short about it, a stupid wrestling prediction about it. That's like the first ever in a series. That's going to be a series of shorts I'm going to do called Stupid Wrestling Predictions, where I make a dumb prediction about an event that happens in wrestling. And if you didn't catch that one, then you should check it out. Anyways, and since I'm going to be doing these monthly, I'm just going to gloss over what I was going through and just kind of talk about like random stuff that was happening. But yeah, like what was happening to me 2002 in February? Well, my freshman year of college was like underway. Like I was balls deep in it. And I was still taking, I was still a freshman, so I was still taking like dumb freshman courses. Let's see. Yeah, like, oh my god, I was taking like I was taking easy money shit back in the day. Like, and the only reason I sucked at school back in those days was because, like, I didn't care about it. And I really didn't. I was taking like English Composition 2 and like pre-calculus, intro to psychology, which like I slept through that shit, and like there's two different intro to sociology classes that you take as a freshman in college if you decide to even major in that, which is what I did. And this one was like social problems. So it's like, it's like it's like you talk about like that class is all about like it was more technical. It wasn't just like here's how the man's keeping people down. Like it wasn't like that at all. It was like here's what this population of people go through, and here's those challenges, and here are these challenges, and here's what society has tried to do about it, and stuff like that. A lot of social science classes, people get it twisted. A lot of them are more technical. It's not like training people how to be, you fill in the blank there. I'm not going to say that on this channel because I'm not talking about social issues on this channel at all. But yeah, it's nothing like that. It's completely different. So I was dealing with that. And No Way Out 2002 actually was the very first pay-per-view that me and my buddy, Dan, saw with a whole bunch of his buddies from his job. So one of his buddies from his job had a 2-bedroom apartment, and I think he was one of the supervisors or something. I don't remember exactly. Well, he was doing something that paid him a lot more than all of us, who were just slumming around doing our stupid minimum wage jobs. So every like he would order pay-per-views because he was a big wrestling fan, just like all of us were, or all of us kind of were. Dan himself wasn't really. I was, but I didn't watch it religiously until this. In fact, this event got me back into watching wrestling religiously. Before this time, I was kind of watching it on and off. I knew the events surrounding wrestling. And like I've mentioned on this channel before, my favorite wrestler of all time is Raven. And so, like, the reason I really stopped watching wrestling religiously was when Raven left ECW for WCW. Because I'm like, well, alright, well, my boy is going to go. And I remember watching a few WCW shows that had Raven in it. And I was like, well, this sucks balls. And then I heard that Raven was going to go to WWE in late 2000. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Let's see what he does there. Oh, he won the hardcore title over 9,069 times. Wow. Awesome. And so in like late 2000, I just stopped watching altogether. I kind of knew what was going on because it was still really popular. You know what I mean? It was still like compared to now it's really underground. I mean, the ratings for Raw are like in the low ones. If it hits like the twos, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like AEW gets like to like 0.9, and that's like a big victory for them. You know, but back 20 years ago, it was a big thing. But anyways, so yeah, this was the very first one where my boy ordered it in his apartment. It was like five or six of us, and we would just watch it and chill and drink and eat pizza and stuff. And we did this on like a monthly basis, which is pretty cool. Really fun. Watch good stuff. Good times. You know what I mean? That was what was going on in my life. And after this event, I'm like, well, fuck me. If the nWo is gonna be in WWE, I may as well just watch it now anyways. Fuck me. I mean, I may as well get over the fact that WWE isn't going to do shit with Raven, which they didn't, and Raven would leave a year after this. I'll talk plenty more about Raven in a couple months, trust me. That's going to be big, April. Oh my god, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of shit in April. I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of shit in next month, in March. Fuck me. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, you know what? nWo is the coolest thing here. Austin and Rock are still doing their thing. Triple H is doing his thing, and I was slowly becoming a bigger Triple H fan just because of how larger than life he was becoming. I always thought he was like a ripoff of Shane Douglas, but that's only because I was an ECW fan in my early teens, and I thought I'd watch WWE's Attitude stuff and I'd watch WCW stuff, and it'd be like, that was on hardcore TV in 1995, dude. So anyways, yeah. So the segment itself, it's funny how like they position the guys. You would think that Hogan would be in the middle of the group as he's like, the big thing, but like, it's funny how they have Nash as like the guy in the middle, which just makes sense. He's the tallest one. Still find it funny how Hogan's the smallest of the three. I mean, size, in terms of size. It's crazy. And in the segments leading up to this, so this was when Ric Flair was kayfabe half owner of WWE, and McMahon was another half. In kayfabe only, obviously. And they were kind of testing out the brand split before doing this. I kind of see the events in between the end of Invasion up until the very first WWE draft, or actually until McMahon decides to put in GMs. So from like November of 01 until like July of 02, as like a test run for the brand split, because there were a lot of talent in WWE. Like their roster, like almost it more than doubled in 2001. So you have all those guys. So you gotta split them up somehow, because things were really hectic in WWE in 2001 and 2002. Up until 2003 is when things really started to smooth out, you know. And so McMahon, you know, he doesn't want to share anything with anybody, I guess, you know, being McMahon. So he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna kill WWE. I'm gonna put my own organization to death. And he does this in a segment, and when he swings his chair back around, it has nWo on the back of it. I was like, oh my god, is this actually gonna happen? Holy shit. And that was actually part of the promo package before this particular segment, which actually started off the show. So yeah, that's the whole storyline behind it. Did that actually happen? No. Instead, the nWo were just yet another bad guy tag team. That's what they pretty much degenerated to. They degenerated to that. Haha, wink wink. You know what I mean? But I mean, given like the 5 months of nWo's run in 2002, that produced some pretty insane moments. It gave us Hogan versus Rock at WrestleMania 18, one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time. Shawn Michaels came back after almost 5 years and joined nWo and was buddies with Nash. You know, so we had Michaels and Nash again. Let's see, what else? It gave us put Booker T in like in a pretty prominent role, you know, because like they were trying to decide what to do with him, whether to be a good guy or bad guy. So that produced like a pretty cool good guy turn for Booker T there. So you know, like, and yeah, those are like just a handful of moments, but you know, it was cool, you know. So anyways, yeah, we'll talk about the segment itself here. So Nash gets on the mic and he says, oh, you know, the looks we got in the back were pretty frightening, you know. And apparently, according to a lot of dirt sheets and shoot interviews, is that the crew didn't really care about Hall and Hogan. They were kind of indifferent to those two, but the guys in the back really disliked Nash. Like, there was a lot of heat there. So that was part shoot when he said that there was a lot of heat. And that's because a lot of the guys in the back, a lot of the boys, were coming to WWE from WCW when Kevin Nash was sharing the booking with Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo. A lot of people don't know that during the last 2 years or so of WCW. A lot of people like to pin everything on Russo, and that's not the case at all. Russo was never solitarily booking. He was never lead booker of WCW in its last 2 years. He was sharing those responsibilities with Eric Bischoff and with Kevin Nash. In fact, Eddie Guerrero, rest his soul, writes about that a lot, about how it was Nash's idea to get guys who looked like Guerrero and Benoit and stuff like that, and Malenko and Saturn and, you know, anyone else who were really small but could work really good, to book them to be embarrassed and stuff like that. So, and a lot of those guys came over from WWE to WWE from WCW. So you can imagine them like walking around backstage and at catering and stuff and seeing Kevin Nash there and being like, oh great, this motherfucking prick again? God damn it. Great. Awesome. Now I get to get booked in stupid segments that don't do shit for my character again. Wonderful. I fled from this, god damn it. You know what I mean? So that's what he says. He says, hey, we want to work with this younger talent and kind of make them look good. He probably didn't mean that. Nash probably didn't mean that, but that's just how it was. And then Scott Hall gets the microphone, and it's funny. because like of all the catchphrases that fans like anticipate, you know, you got Rock going, finally the Rock has come back to whatever, and then you know, whatever, a few others that I can't really talk about at the moment. But you know, Nash Halls is, you know, hey yo, you know what I mean, and like so he says that, and the crowd pops like crazy. The crowd is never like doesn't really boo this segment until Hogan starts speaking. But then Hogan changes their minds like right after. And Scott Hall goes like, we don't want to be poisoned for this company. We're fans just like you. We want to make this company better. We want to make things better. We want to take what we brought and bring it to WWE and make WWE like we did to WCW 5 years ago, you know, in 1997. You know, that kind of stuff. That's what he says. And then Hogan says the same kind of stuff. And then he says, you know what? The only person who really gave us a chance going into this was Vince McMahon. And then the crowd starts booing. And then Hogan ends the segment by saying, God bless Vince McMahon, God bless you fans, and God bless America. And that gets kind of a pop. And then the segment ends. And later on, after Rock goes up against Undertaker, after he finishes his match with Undertaker, he had a match against him that night. He gets confronted by the NWO, and then the NWO and then Hogan wants to get a picture of him and Rock for his son, and then Hogan says something under his breath, and then Rock kind of insults all three of them. It's just pretty funny. All this stuff is on WWE's YouTube channel, by the way. They have the full segment where the NWO comes out, and then they have the segment where where they confront Rock, which is pretty cool. And then the NWO would do another run-in again later on that night when Steve Austin had a match against Chris Jericho for the Undisputed title. And this is why I say that the NWO was really just another bad guy group, because they cost Steve Austin the match against Chris Jericho, a guy who Nash had a lot of beef with not but 3 years ago. Because Jericho was one of those guys who when Nash booked him, he booked him to do jobs and stuff like that, and to lose, and to and to do all kinds of stupid shit. And Jericho worked with it because he's that kind of genius. But Jericho never liked Kevin Nash at all. Never liked it. Never liked him. In fact, about a year and some change after this, they would have a match at Bad Blood 2003. Yeah, so pretty crazy. But that's why I said, they're just nothing but another bad guy group, because they helped Jericho win. And and I knew, even though I was only casually watching wrestling up until this point, I still kind of knew the backgrounds of all these guys. I knew that there was beef between Jericho and Nash. I knew that when Nash was coming back into WWE, he was not going to be welcomed, because he mocked a lot of the guys who were currently working in WWE at that time. So it's pretty stupid. As far as the whole 5 months of NWO's run, it did leave a lot to be desired. But you gotta understand, Scott Hall was still dealing with his substance abuse issues. It was very rare to see him go to a show sober, in between, ever since 1999. It was really bad. And he would struggle with those substance abuse issues for a very long time. He would struggle with them up until DDP had to help him in just not but 10 years ago, 2013, So it was hard to get the best out of him. Nash was getting older and still injury prone. I mean, he was the youngest. I think he was the second youngest, because the youngest was Scott Hall, I think. Yeah, I think Hall was I think it was 41 during this segment, and and Nash was 45 or something. And I know that Hogan was just about to turn 50 because Hogan is like a couple months older than my dad, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, this had a 49-year-old Hulk Hogan here. But yeah, so I mean, how much mileage did we really think we were going to get out of an NWO who even 5 years ago, even in 1997, 5 years to this day, like they were kind of aging, you know what I mean? So like, especially Hogan. So it didn't last long, and it didn't last long for good reason. And I don't think any real fan would have predicted that it would last long. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, all right, well, maybe this will last maybe a year or something like that. Might last until like WrestleMania 19, where like they have to win like a match or else they'll stop or whatever. Or something like that, or maybe like SummerSlam 2002, you know, that kind of stuff, or whatever, or maybe like it'll last until the Royal Rumble 2003 when like one of them eliminates the other, and then that happens, and then that causes them to split up, that kind of stuff. So I don't think any fan really should have anticipated anything else like this to last a long time. Yeah, that's about it, man. So what I might actually do, and I haven't done a video like this in a long time, is I might actually fantasy book the nWo's WWE run and actually have it last until WrestleMania 19. But yeah, as far as the guys, none of them would really last long. Scott Hall he'd be done, but he was done after WrestleMania 18. Like, he was only there for a month. That's it. After Mania, I think, wait, no, a little bit after Mania 18. I think he had his final match in WWE at, like, I'd like to say Judgment Day 02. I know it was, like, May or something like that, because he was in the very first TNA wrestling show. And I'm definitely doing a Joelsuf Remembers on that. I think Nash would stay until either 2004 or 2005. I don't quite remember because he had a handful of matches in 2003. I think he had like exactly no, it was 2003. He left I think right after SummerSlam 03 to join NWA TNA. So yeah, and Hogan was about the same. Hogan had his final match, not a final match, but like he would have a match at Mania 19, and then he was done after Mania 19, I think. No, he had that run as a Mr. America, that's right. Until like, I think SummerSlam 2003, and then he was done for a while. And then he would come back and do part-time stuff and make like appearances and have matches against Randy Orton and have matches against Shawn Michaels and shit. So whatever. And we never really got Austin versus Hogan. We never got that dream match. We would get Rock versus Hogan at WrestleMania 18 instead, which, okay, pretty cool. I think it should have been a triple threat, or it could have been something different. But I don't know. It's just me. Anyways, so I'm done with this. Thank you for listening. And next month, I'm going to go over the very first WWE draft. And maybe something else if I can remember something. If I can think of something else to do a Remembers content on. Anyways, take care, everybody.